Hello everybody and welcome to Dubai, which for the last 15 years in a row has hosted the opening round of the FIA-sanctioned 24-hour series for GT and touring cars. Part of the United Arab Emirates, Dubai has become a major hub in the Middle East for freight, ICT and financial services, as well as being the 7th most popular place in the world for tourism. The Dubai World Trade Center was the first skyscraper built here in 1978. Since then, it's developed to become the city with the most skyscrapers in the world. It's early January 2020 and people have come from around the globe for the hand-cooked 24 hours of Dubai.
This race makes it very special because this is the opening of every season. This is the first race for all the drivers. Dubai is beautiful in this time of period. Everybody wants to be here. Everybody loves this race.
I raced here last year for the first time and really enjoyed the race. Unfortunately, we had a DNF because we had a technical failure. But this year, coming back with a strong lineup, strong team that I know very well, so I think our hopes are very high for a good result.
Recent times have seen more American teams joining the series, and that's partly due to the promotion of the series by the veteran drivers of CP Racing.
We do talk a lot in the US about the series and that it's not impossible to come here to race. It's further away, but it's still just racing, which is the same worldwide. It's sort of an international common language. It's really not difficult. The airplane trip is maybe 20 hours longer, but but the racing is fun and it's good.
Team Speed Lover will not be racing their number 978 car. It was entered and should have been competing here today.
But in free practice, a new driver, a little bit inexperienced, he had a crash, and then the chassis was damaged that much that we couldn't do it with that car. So we decided not to race at all in 24 hours.
Autorama almost faced the same fate. However, their team managed to repair the car twice.
The 112 have with the private test contact with the GT3 car and he hit the barrier, so the chassis was bent and we have to bend it back over the night. And with car number 1 in the free practice was plus minus the same. We have a little bit of rain and another car spin in front of our car and crashed in our car. The chassis was also bent, so we have to bend it back also in the night. Yeah, it was a lot to do this week.
The race start is on Friday, but let's look back to Thursday afternoon and the touring car lineup. They'd already had several private tests and a free practice earlier in the week, and now it's time to qualify for their position on the starting grid. Third in the touring car standings last year was the Red Camel Jordan's Cupra, and they're one of the first out, trying to set an even better time than last year.
I went out on new tires, and actually I thought it was going very well. I was a second quicker than last year, 2:11.3, so I was very happy. But then they said I was only 7th or something, so I was disappointed. So everybody went more than 1 second quicker than last year, I think, due to the cooler temperature.
A little colder temperatures than last year. How does that allow the cars to do faster laps?
Not that I'm an expert, but you have a little bit more grip maybe. For sure you have more power. The cooler it is, the more power you have, especially with turbo engines.
In 2019, the CWS Ginetta took pole position. And Colin White is out there trying to get the same result here in 2020. To try and achieve that, they were fixated on the weather.
The weather forecast was going to be rain for the whole day, but lucky enough it stayed off, and we went out qualifying and had a good set. We softened it a little bit for the rain, which didn't come, but the car was much better, a little bit softer, because the temperature dropped, and we put a fantastic lap time in, one of the lap records for here for our class of car.
As always, teams push hard for their fastest laps. There are a few drivers who find out they haven't quite got the right heat in their tyres to go at full racing speeds.
Dubai is a really challenging track. I love doing it there, and to drive a Cupra on the limit is also beautiful, and just the adrenaline is kicking in like hell. So that's beautiful, and the competitive between the drivers is really high. So it was really hard to get in the top 5.
They weren't the only team aiming towards the head of the grid, but not able to do so.
Oh, it was quite okay. We did a quite good lap, but as you can see, the TCR cars are very fast. So we were all together in 2 seconds. So that will be a tough race for all of us.
2 series represented here for GT and TCE, and within each of those, several classes. Pole in TCR, set by the number 111 from Lestrup Racing.
I just did my best, and I think I got a really, really good lap in, one of my best. And of course the track was good, so all cars did around 3 seconds faster. So I knew we were gonna be fast, but I know there are some really fast guys out there, so it feels extra good to beat all of them, of course. So.
As the checkered flag comes out on this qualifying, it's the Ginetta number 278 from CWS that takes not only the pole for TCX, but also overall pole in the TCE division. The GT cars are ready to set their fastest laps, including Earl Bamber Motorsport with their number 95 Porsche. This is one of the cars that the mechanics were working on through the night.
We had a gearbox failure just after FP, so that was pretty tough for the boys. They did an awesome job to change just before the session. Unfortunately, the differential characteristic was very strange for the qualifying, so we didn't have time to really tune this, but nonetheless, P15 for us, so the speed was not too far from the front considering what happened, so that was good enough for the starting position, and the guys did a great job to start the race from that position.
It's not essential to have previous experience in this race to set a class pole.
This is my first time on this track, my first time ever, the 24 hours. I and the team managed to put it on pole position for today's race. But yeah, of course it's a good position, but there's a really long race ahead.
Yeah, qualification was quite good in my opinion. I think we got the best out of the car. Happy to be the quickest Mercedes on the grid in the GT4 category. So yeah, that was quite good actually.
Lightbert Motorsport, pole position in GTX.
Well, it was my first time driving the car on Wednesday. Did 10 laps before quali. Also first time on the track, so I was not sure I could do it, but in the end we did it. So yeah, great.
The quickest GT3 AM entrant in qualifying was MP Motorsport with their number 19 entry.
Yeah, it was really good. Big surprise. Put the car on P6 overall and P1 in the M class. So we are really happy with that. We are better prepared than last year, but now, this year we have done 2 days of testing in Barcelona, and also on the Monday in the beginning of this week. So we are better prepared, and till now we have not any trouble, so everything is fine.
And when we go racing on Friday, it will be the number 77 of TalkSport WRT who will start at the front of the grid, as they have set the fastest time.
Just really happy for these guys because obviously they worked through the whole night. I think they were done at 4 a.m. fixing the car, and yeah, they've given us a great car, given me a great car, and it's a great place to start the race, so really happy.
So let's have a look at the starting grid in both divisions. GT3 Pro entries dominate the top 9 at the front of the field. The top 3 has Herbert Motorsport number 91 Porsche in third, second for Black Falcon number 4 Mercedes, and from pole position in the race it will be the number 777 Mercedes AMG of TalkSport WRT. There's less than a tenth of a second between those 3 qualifiers. In TCE, domination in the top 9 for TCR entries, but pole for the TCX entries. In third, the Cupra number 107 from BBR. Second in division, but pole in their class, the Lestrup Racing Volkswagen 111. Overall pole, with over a second in hand on the field, the number 278 CWS Engineering Ginetta. This is endurance.
Real team sport. You know, to bring a car to a race like that, to prepare it for a 24-hour race, to work through the whole week, through the practice sessions, get every driver up to speed, get everybody in the crew prepared for a 24-hour race. This is for me the main part of it.
Race day at Dubai Autodrome for the 15th Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai.
We can expect a lot of action. It's 24 hours. There are 70 cars almost on the grid. GT3 cars, touring cars, everything together. So for the driver, this is really difficult, but it really is also a challenge.
There's no charge for spectators to enter the track, and they're encouraged onto the starting grid too. 2 pole positions are marked, one for the GT division up front, and slightly further back, the pole sitter of the TCE division. What are they expecting during the race?
Well, we should win it, but we've got some new drivers here, and we're on driver training this week. And if it rains, they're all good drivers in the rain, which will help us considerably.
The TalkSport WRT Mercedes AMG number 777 has taken the GT division pole. The Porsche from Herbert number 91 missed out on that pole by just 4/100ths of a second.
They are really strong, had pole position. Our car is also really strong. It's a tough race. Maybe some rain, so expectation the condition can change so quickly, but yeah, keep out of trouble and have a clean race.
Throughout the grid, more pole sitters. Each class is qualified for full championship points. The Leipa Motorsport Lamborghini number 710 starts from pole in their class for GTX cars.
It's my first time doing the 24 Dubai. The goal will be really to stay out of trouble. It's very busy out there, a lot of traffic, a lot of speed differences. The night is going to be tough as well, so yeah, and see where we end up.
We are on pole, and we hope we can stay there on the front place. Podium should be possible if we come through. I think it will rain in the night.
In wet conditions, there's so much dust on the track, and dust and water, you get mud. So it will be very slippery, and they have no drainage. So we will have big lakes on the track. So with a big rain shower, we have no chance. So we get safety car or maybe a red flag, and they stop the race. We will see what happens.
We're going to have a good race today. We have very good drivers, so it's going to be tough for the other guys to come and catch us.
Everyone here, of course, shares a love for motorsport. But that's not the only love that's in the air.
Yeah, that's a special race for me because this is the only place where I have two loves. My honey is here, and also motorsport is my second love. And it's going to be happen something very important for me.
Gabor Kismarty Lechner presented his girlfriend with an engagement ring, team members holding up the "Will you marry me" signs, and she did say yes. On that happy note, the race is about to start, and the cars are on their way to the warm-up laps. Almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Friday the 17th of January. We're on the final warm-up lap, ready to take the start.
We are here since a long time already, nearly 1 week before we can take the start of the race. And there's a lot of adrenaline. Everybody is really waiting for this, that the race finally starts after a lot of work. And I did the start for a lot of different races. It's always a very, very special moment. Maybe besides driving to the finish of a long distance race, maybe the best moment to take the start.
The GT cars in good position to take their start for the Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai. The lights are out. What a good start for the Herbeth number 91 Porsche that started from second.
I had a really good start. I knew Maro wanted to go really quick, so yeah, I tried to be a little bit early on throttle. We crossed the line, like I saw a picture afterwards, like we were like parallel. So and then the Porsche was good on the straights, so I could overtake him, close the inside line, and then we had a nice battle.
We started 7th. The plan was take it easy, learn the car, learn the track conditions after the heavy rain that we had in the morning, some different rubber on the circuit. So within half a lap, I recognised we had a really good car under us, and we made a few positions on the first lap.
A little further back down the straight, the touring cars have finished their 2 warm-up laps, and the Emirates flag is waved to start their race.
The start was really good. There was an incident in front of me, turn 1. I was really lucky to avoid the car sideways in front of me. I was hoping to reach the first place, obviously, but the car was not as good as I expected. So I was battling with the 4th and 5th position, I guess. Yeah.
The CWS Ginetta creates an early gap to the rest of the TCE field.
You know, I got a good feel for the car. I warmed the tyres up, so when I come to the first corner, I was able to go in deep and hard and pull a gap. And I'd done that for the first few laps for corners, and then I was able to maintain a certain gap and just kept my head down and enjoyed the track conditions.
There's much closer racing at the head of the GT field, though. The Talksport 777 is back in overall lead. The Porsche from Herbeth and the number 7 from MS7 are challenging Maro Engel for that position.
This racing was really fair, and we enjoyed a lot. All the drivers afterwards, we sent some messages that we really enjoyed the first 10 laps and was really fair.
Doesn't take long for the GT field to catch up with the TCE entry. So 2 divisions now mixed together, difficult to maneuver through.
That was a lot going on track. Everybody was trying to find his way by, trying to find his position, using the whole road towards turn 1. And on the right side, unfortunately, it was very, very dirty. So when I hit the brake pedal, the rear came around, and I just couldn't control the car anymore, went straight over the track into the wall.
Oh, obvious that car won't return to the race. Code 60 then, and during this time, drivers not allowed to go faster than 60 kilometres an hour. Of course, not allowed to overtake either. Teams and drivers both poised to keep an eye out for the green flag coming back out again. It's not good enough just being the fastest, you have to be the smartest too.
As we see the Code 60 boards being released, you get your foot down and go. Ollie was a little bit slow to react, I was a bit quicker. There was traffic in front of us. He was on the inside, he got the better run, I was on the left, and the traffic was in front of me. So we got the run and I was just a little bit quicker. However, he knew there was traffic in front, so he didn't move. He blocked me in and I had to lift. There was no place for me to go. So it was a really well played move. So yeah, fair play to him.
Although the Lotus number 705 wasn't involved in the crash of the GPX Porsche, it has suffered from the results of it.
What I think is that in the crash, the piece of the cars, I went on the pieces, and I think that I got a piece inside in the downside of the engine, and the piece broke the belt, and we had to stop to change the belt.
With the Lotus in the pits, Glenn Geddy is driving around with damage to his car, which is a shame. He'd had a good start to the race.
Yeah, the start was fine. I took it easy and stayed back, tried to stay out of trouble, and once it all spread out, we started lapping cars and picked up some contact with a TCR car, which I think the sills may be broken. So we carried on, the car felt okay handling, and then we had a puncture, so we came in.
An important part of endurance racing is pacing yourself, as Jeremy Daniel found out.
The start was pretty rough. I tried to stay behind the leader's car, so I used my tire quite a lot. About 45 minutes into my stint, halfway there, I kind of lost the front end because I was pushing a lot. So to make sure I manage my tire, I lowered my lap times by a few seconds to make sure I last a full stint of about an hour and 40 minutes.
The race at the Dubai Autodrome is off to a good start. This is the 15th time Creventic have organised the 24 Hours of Dubai. Here in the United Arab Emirates, it's very attractive to come racing.
Dubai is a circuit everybody wants to race here, not only the locals, but it doesn't matter where you come from, if from Europe, from Africa, from America, all the countries are here to enjoy this beautiful race.
The track is very demanding, a lot of corners where you can't see the apex. It's going up and it's going down, it's got fast corners, it's got slow corners, braking zones, everything a racetrack has to have, it is there.
Yeah, it's good. It's completely different. Not being in a GT3 car when we're used to driving GT3 cars is a bit difficult to get your head around and be able to let them go and run your own race. So it's more of a GT3 car track, this one, I would say.
Oh, it's a fantastic track. It flows really well. It's complicated in some parts and fun in others, and so it's a great track. I really enjoyed it dry, and I did enjoy it wet, just not too wet.
Well, the track is quite technical for a GT car, I would say. So it's not that easy. And then the traffic, I mean, it's more than 60 cars on track. It's only 5 kilometers, so you can imagine how busy it is. So it's very easy to have contact with another car. You have to be very careful. So yeah, that will be the main, I think the main challenge.
It's really good. It's a bit with the weather changes where it will be go. But there are quick corners, there are some slow corners. I think this track has like everything. You have some bankings, what's really nice. So I'm excited to drive here.
Back on the track, the race has already been running for an hour. And at the hour mark, the number 91 Porsche from Herbeth is leading the race by just 0.8 of a second. Although with the GT cars pitting around about this time for fuel and tyres, the order of the field is shuffled backwards and forwards. Over in the touring car division, the CWS Ginetta has a clearer lead, 52 seconds over the rest of their competition. Cars coming into the pits, and Charles Putman is put into the number 85 Mercedes.
I took over the car in 5th position, and extreme amount of traffic. So it's a lot of fun. Actually, that's part of why we like endurance racing, because we like the mixed classes. It gives us a chance to, as we say, play the chess game of where to overtake the slower cars. The slower cars are playing the game of how to use us to get separation between themselves. So it's a lot of using the traffic to try to manage your lap times.
You have to remember, this is an endurance race.
The idea is not to take big risks. just to bring the car back in one piece for my next teammate. Of course, in the same time, try to push as much as possible to gain as much time back. But in the end, it's not to take risks. That's the main goal.
Consistency is always a good thing in endurance racing, but having to consistently deal with punctures is not. Here's the number 788 coming in for the second time with the same issue.
Both tyres, we found debris on the track being in the tyre. So we picked up 2 off of the debris on the track, which is unbelievable, really, but that's the way the luck was. So hopefully that's all of our luck out the way and we can have a strong race.
Eric Zimmerman is behind the wheel of the Fun M BMW number 302, and the team's had a good race so far.
The first stint was good, perfect times. Second stint, second driver goes out. After a few laps, he had a little bit of oversteer on the curb, and he couldn't hold it, and he hit the wall. Yeah, we had a little crash in turn 14, and they couldn't bring the car back, and we have to repair it a little bit.
As a result of the crash, a code 60 is called just before the 2-hour mark comes around. Good news for those who were due a pit stop anyway.
We got lucky and had a code 60 at the right time, so I was able to stay in the car for my full 2 hours. And the pit stops worked out pretty good. We came in still in 5th place. I didn't advance as much, but our positions were good at that point because our fuel strategy was ahead. We said, okay, in the next stint, we're ready to go. You know, this will be really good.
The TCE leader takes a pit stop right at the end of the double stint for the starting driver.
It was good, wasn't it? Yeah, well, we ended up being first in class, first overall, and I got up so far as second at the GT4s as well. So.
And now all the drivers who took the start have handed over their cars to teammates so they can be looking forward towards their next time in the car. After the first 2 hours of racing, the GT division, currently led by the number 77 Lamborghini of Barwell Motorsport, got a lap in hand over the number 7 Audi from MS7 by WRT. The others in the top 9 really only seconds apart, with the dynamic number 29 Porsche in third, also leading the GT3 AM class. All the other classes you can see on the right of the screen. In TCE, the CWS Ginetta 278 has also expanded their early lead. 2 laps now, back to the rest of the touring car entry. They're the TCX class leader, of course, with the number 112 Autorama Volkswagen in second overall in their category, and that is the leader in the TCR class. Only 6 seconds back, the Audi number 188 from AC Motorsport, second in TCR. This is endurance.
Teamwork. Yeah, teamwork. So much cars, 75 cars is battling for the win, and it's beautiful.
Oh, endurance is a taste of your mental capacity, your mental strength, as well as your physical strength. It's a combination of all that, and I think the one that combines all of those factors is the one that wins.
Dutch organiser Creventic have been the driving force behind these worldwide endurance races since 2006. But not everything is done by Creventic and their volunteers. Through the years, they've come to rely on a group of partners that support them in these races.
We are happy that we can rely on long-term partners that are working with us for many years already, such as Com1 that are supplying the network infrastructure here in Dubai, Time Service that are doing the live timing and the timekeeping since our very first race in 2006 with us, and SPA05 that are supplying the race position displays on all our cars.
SPAA05 is one of those partners, not strictly necessary to run the race, but they are included to make these races even more enjoyable to watch as a spectator.
They were looking for a nice add-on for the spectators, so we added the LED signs on the side of the car to show the ranking during the race. And from that moment on, we created a kind of partnership.
Partnership, not a fancy word for just a customer.
We do this now for 10 years with the 24-hour series with Creventic, so I think it has been growing from just a supplier agreement to a really partnership where we have advertisement on the cars, where we bring new stuff to the series. We do a lot of things together on R&D and things like that.
For spectators further away from the track and around the world, Creventic have partnered with several media companies.
We're also glad that we can rely on our media partners, 0221 who are doing the live broadcast of our races, Radio Show Limited that are supplying the commentary, and of course our partner for our highlight shows, Orangeberg Media.
We came here first in 2010 to make a couple of reports of several teams who are racing here, including Speed Lover, who is still currently racing with the 24H series. And from 2014 onwards, we've been doing most races for Creventic of the 24H series.
We're very happy to have Orangeback Media on our side. They're a very reliable partner, producing a high-quality highlight show of our races. The teams like them. They know each other. Every team welcomes Orangeback Media into their box, and over the years we've built up quite a relationship, and we're happy to have Orangeback Media as our highlight show partner on our side.
At a race, you can look at those who are leading the race, but there are so many stories happening on the track, off the track, a lot of different teams, a lot of different classes, and all those stories deserve to be highlighted. And that's what I liked. I like to know why things happen, how things happen, who is responsible to get things going here. So behind the scenes, in the car, in the series, that's what interests me, and that's what I like to convey to the viewers. All those little stories which make up a weekend like this.
And the little story right at this moment is that it's 17 minutes past 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and after a hard 23 minutes of work by the marshals, the track barriers have been repaired and the race can resume. Within an hour or so, it'll be dark here in Dubai.
For most drivers, the darkening gets them more focused because you don't see so much surroundings. Only the lightning back there somewhere in the Palm Jumeirah.
Adrian might be the gentleman driver of the team, but he's managed to hold on to the overall lead.
Me being an AM, I cannot compete with the pros, so I cannot get better, but I do not get worse as well.
The leader of the touring car division is also in the pits. As a result of an earlier incident, their rear lights are not working, but the CWS team has a rather easy fix for that. They change out the bodywork on the back of the Ginetta, connect the plug, and the number 276 continues the race without even losing a position. The number 717 Mark Cars 2 Coupe of Co Oyster Racing is far worse off. They'll have to come in after they were hit out on the circuit.
Corner 7 is a very traditional, easy place to overtake a slower car. So I was hung back from a GT4 car for a while. And then he went wide, as normally they do when they see they've got somebody quicker up their tail. And I took the inside line. Unfortunately, there was a Lamborghini on my inside as well, so I needed to stay out a little bit, maybe longer than the GT4 thought. But he turned in and tapped me on the left rear. Unfortunately, it broke the lower wishbone on the car.
Lights are on the cars. Stefano De Aste has had to help his teammate via the radio.
We had an issue with the rear light, and because he didn't find the button to switch on the rear lights.
And there's a good reason that Stefano was assisting there and not an engineer or a mechanic or technician.
I'm the driver, and when I'm seated in the car, I know where to find the switches. So he was driving, he didn't find the switch, and I told him in which way to find it.
6 in the evening in Dubai. All the car lights now on, all the drivers getting settled in to some darkness racing.
If you drive from daylight to the dark, and everything gets really more difficult to judge. Everyone needs to get used to it. So it's always a special moment, and especially here, if the sun goes down, you can see it a bit, and it was really nice, and there's a special atmosphere.
All drivers like to win, but they love to battle.
I was in fight with a Mercedes in front of me. He was in front of me, behind me, going off track, on track every time. So it was a bit messy, but the stint was good.
It is a tradition here at the Dubai 24 that we have fireworks in the early evening, but extreme weather forecasts have meant that they had to be cancelled. No worries, the number 84 HTP Windward Motorsport Mercedes AMG supplies its own.
Faisal drove the car. Something broke on the front, on the bearing. So we lost a tire, unfortunately, and we have come back to the pits, and we take 10 laps to repair the car. It was a big thing, and the guys did a mega job, but in the end we lost already 10 laps in the beginning of the race, which give us a hard time.
It's raining, and Katarina Kaivalova has had problems keeping the Sicily Mercedes number 462 pointing in the right direction. Some teams use the code 60 to do their pit stops, but just slight drizzle like this means the cars can stay on slick tyres.
There was a code 60, and then that was a little nuts after the green flag. Everybody must have got a little shot of adrenaline because they were all over the place. They took it to another level. It was a great experience. It was like a video game.
The rain's getting heavier. Still, most teams deciding they can do good lap times with their slick tyres. One or two, though, are opting for an early tyre change.
I came in quite early to get rain tires, and that made what was quite a good decision. So I managed to get, I don't know, 4 positions maybe, or 3, and was quite good. It's a strategy thing sometimes, and there was a bit of luck also, yeah.
Still wet here at the Dubai Autodrome, not pouring down, but the driver's beginning to notice that slick tyres perhaps are not the best choice.
We went on slick tires, and then it was really slippery in the beginning when it started to rain. Especially it was not too much rain, but it was really slippery. That's different to other circuits maybe, especially here in Dubai. Don't know why, but it is.
In wet conditions, it's vitally important that the car is set up correctly for the weather. Setup, of course, is something that's done well ahead of even the first meters of racing. And it's no good to just copy the settings from last year.
You would expect that you just take the setup from last year and you're there, but it's not the case. I don't know exactly, but every car, every time it's different. Maybe the circumstances, temperatures, maybe some difference in shock absorber. I don't know exactly, but it's not that easy to just copy it and go racing.
We look all the time for mechanical grip because our aerodynamic, it's standard aerodynamic, so we cannot do a lot with aerodynamic. We change anti-roll bars, springs, temper, the bump and the rebound, tire pressure, camber, toe, everything. So this weekend or this week we change everything, including springs.
And if you don't find the right balance, you kill the tires very easy. So it's very important. It's not that easy.
We need to make the tyre last evenly over 1 hour, which is roughly a stint. So we measure lots of things. We measure lots of temperatures, pressures, parameters, loadings, and then we decide with the feedback of the drivers which adjustments we need to make for the temperature of the weekend, for the layout of the circuit, and for the tyre. And then we end up with a good engineering solution. And if we've done our job well, then we have a good balanced car.
Teams have an on-track service to assist them with finding that right setup.
We have a lot of data from the last couple of years where we collect all the data. We have a lot of experience. My team is experienced. For example, my main engineer is together with me for 11 years now. So we have a lot of knowledge and a lot of backgrounds. So therefore we know the track, we know the car, we know the surface, and therefore my people can give them really good recommendations.
The car's set up for racing, the driver's set for racing at night. Especially the more experienced drivers, they find the night doesn't pose them any problems.
It's all instinct. You don't really need to see your brake points. You know how long you drive in each gear before you need to brake. You know you don't have to see the turning point. You just go by reflex.
Not all reflexes operating perfectly clearly as Michael Blanchman in the 26 Sonntag entry and Shane Lewis in the 85 CP Racing AMG collide. It looked like the 85 was coming back to its crew, but it's quickly gone back to the track.
They told me to stay out. I was really surprised. So, because they asked me, is the car okay? And I'm like, well, the track's straight. Everything's fine. I can't tell the damage. I mean, it picked me up really hard, but no crazy noises, tracking straight. And they said, well, just go by the front straightaway and we'll take a look at it there before we come in. In hindsight, of course, we should have pitted. That would have been the smart thing to do because we had to go all the way back around under code 60. And the moment I got to pit lane, it went green.
In the code 60, the teams have to make a choice. Will the next stint need slick Hancocks or the wet weather variety?
We don't have the intermediates. It's only wet or slick tires. So there's only the decision, is it still drivable with slick tires? For me, it was not. And I was expecting more rain that didn't come at that time. So we had to change after that, after my stint, back to slick tires. But in the wet, I felt very good in the car. The car was very stable on the wet tires. Yeah, I managed a good stint, I think.
It was pretty hard to manage the car and the tires because the track was wet and it was pretty hard. But I like racing in the dark, in the rain. You know, we're used to it. We're from Belgium, so.
The weather is staying unpredictable. It's a nightmare as the teams try to manage their cars in these constantly changing conditions.
I start like in a tricky time where the weather changed. I get a set of rain tires. After that, the rain disappear. I get a set of dry tires. So it was tricky time. I'm happy that I come back without any issues.
8 o'clock in the evening. The rain has passed through. Slick tyres again on the Lightwood Motorsport number 710 Lamborghini. And we'll take a look at the standings. After 5 hours, it's Black Falcon Mercedes AMG number 4 that leads the GT division of the Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai. They've got a lap over a tight battle for second and third. There's only 6 seconds between the MS7 by WRT Audi number 7 in second, with the car collection number 88 Audi in third. In the TCE division, the AC Motorsport Audi number 188 is leading. They've completed 114 laps, one more than the rest of the field. The NK PP Racing number 175 Cupra is second. In their rear-view mirror, the Autorama 112 Volkswagen aiming to bridge the 2-second gap between them. This is endurance.
Oh, endurance is very tough. It's nice. I'm addicted to it. So for me, it's great. You live together for 3-4 days with the whole team. You have to work together. You have to sleep together. Everything. So that's great. It's a very nice team sport.
This is the 24-hour endurance series sanctioned by the FIA, which for many years has been powered by Hankook tyres.
I'm absolutely pleased, and I'm more than happy to be partner for Creventic 24-hour series for such a long time, and that we continue our partnership for a long time, because the championship himself, for me, is like my baby, and it is the most important endurance championship in the world, so therefore I'm really proud to be a partner.
We're very happy of our sponsors that are also part of our success story and the success of our series. Hankook once again has joined as the title sponsor and the tire supplier for all of our competitors. But also we are very happy to have webheads on board here in Dubai, and Bugatti shoes that are supplying even us with their footwear. Bugatti shoes is owned by one of the drivers in our races, and he likes us, he likes our series, and he decided to supply us with shoes. It's nice to have once in a while a sponsor where you yourself get a little back in the end.
But Creventic is also giving back. Creventic has chosen to work towards a better environment with a partnership with Trees to the Future.
We are aware of the responsibility that motorsports has towards the environment. We have decided as the first professional motorsports organizer to actually compensate our carbon footprint, and have introduced together with Trees for the Future our initiative One Lap, One Tree, which basically means we're planting 1 tree per lap driven. If you look at the Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai last year, that would mean that 30,000 trees can be planted in one 24-hour race here in Dubai.
And not only that, the series has opened up its regulations for electric cars to enter.
We see the future of our series with combustion engines competing hand in hand with alternative technologies. And we have a class available that can already host electrical or hybrid cars.
The United Arab Emirates has one of the largest deserts in the world, but currently we're treated to a coming and going of rain clouds. This is making it very hard for the drivers.
Very difficult, because I was with the slick on this wet time, and it was really hard. So the track was wet, but not so much. It's possible to continue a little bit, and suddenly the rain is falling too much.
The weather conditions make racing very difficult indeed. Several incidents, including Francois Rio in the Nordschleifer Racing 226. He's got to limp back to the pit crew.
Because this area car shot me on the left, on the right, sorry, on the party on.
He spin on the track, and
and he broke the front right wheel, completely broke. So we spent 1 hour on the box to solve the issue.
Last season's 911 class winner here, Porsche Lorient Racing, has stalled on the track and is having problems trying to rejoin the race.
The car turned because of the water, but it's not. I don't stop with the water. I have a problem to put down the gear. I can't do much better because it stays in 3 with the third. So I cut, open, and after it comes.
I was pushing every lap, and I was also risk a lot on track because one time I spin also, but then I was going again, and yeah, we was trying to push every lap to gain a lot of position.
Yeah, well, it was a very tough one with some rain, just mixed conditions all the time. So you really had to be careful out there in the traffic. You never really know who's in the car. There's amateur drivers, there's pro drivers, so you always have to be aware and also think a little bit for the guys in the other cars sometimes. So it's very tough mentally, not so much physically, but I think those are the races that really test you as a driver, and I think if you're able to end on the podium, it's even more special.
Still hard to stay on the track here, and the early leader from the touring car division bears the scars of that.
When the rain started coming, a Porsche came out of the corner and hit straight in the side of my car, hit my front wheel. He had obviously lost control or something, which then bent the steering, and I couldn't turn left. So I had to get to the corner, reverse back, turn it a bit, then go on forward to eventually get back to the pits to be able to come in and repair it.
The weather and its unpredictability is the dominating story in the race right now.
I said, well, the weather's coming to us because we had slicks in front, and on the rear we had the wets. And the moment I said it started raining again, and he passed me again. And the lap, I said, well, it's not doable anymore. We have to go to slicks. I thought I saw in a mirror. I saw my son in the Audi, so I got very wide to give him a pass. But I went that wide, I had a spin. We damaged the side of the car, but the car was still on the straight. It was going straight, so the car was performing well.
Sven Muller, another driver that needs a change of tyre.
Yeah, now it's pretty hard raining out there, so we actually P4 lost unfortunately a lap. Tried to go on slick tires and hoped that it stayed dry, but unfortunately it rained again, so we had to box another time, to pit another time, and now we are 1 lap behind.
Everybody's kind of just trying to survive. We went in there and I think there were like 3 cars wide, and I was unfortunately the one in the middle, and the one from the outside was turning in and the other one was on my inside, so I was a little bit in a sandwich of a Lotus, and I don't know what was inside me, maybe a Porsche or whatever, but we survived. I think only the sticker came off on our front flick, so we're all good.
We've completed 6 hours of the race, and coming back after a 5.5-hour repair, it's good news for the Vortex V8 back on the track.
We broke the gearbox. So we changed the gearbox during 3 hours. We tried to restart, but the new gearbox have a problem too. So we spent 3 hours more, and now it's okay. The car is ready to finish the race.
It's getting harder and harder to keep the cars on the straight and narrow on this wet circuit.
Well, you're feeling that you're losing the car. It's sliding very slowly. It's like on ice. And I have to say that the other driver was very good. So we made contact, but it was so soft that there was nothing at all. And that's it. But we don't go at high speed. It was on turn 7, I think. Very slippery there. So happens.
Cars spinning off track. Drivers not losing their fighting spirit. Gerhard Watzinger in the 710 hits the barriers. Too much damage, I'm afraid. And Leipert Motorsport retires the Lamborghini. The Dubai downpour continues.
It became worse and worse on the track. Turn 2 has standing water on it. A car in front of me just spun flat out in front of me. And then as it progressed, there was standing water in the straightaway in the backstretch, and a river flowing right between turn 10 and turn 11. It was becoming really treacherous out there.
So accidents in the wet conditions. But it didn't have to be soaking to crash. The Fun M Motorsport BMW was in the barriers whilst it was still dry. They've spent 5 hours repairing the car, and they're back in the race now too.
Yeah, for repair we need a lot of bodywork, cooler package, duct tape, tie wraps, a little bit of jumping on the car, but I think we fix it.
The team behind the car are proud, and rightfully so. The technicians and mechanics are crucial to set up the car so that the driver can have a good race.
Our car was turning on the tyre like very, very fast, so it gives you a lot of confidence as a driver to push hard. So both conditions felt good for our car. So thank you to the guys who are giving us a good vehicle underneath us, especially developing the car over the weekend. We got the car back to where we wanted for the race. I think all the amateur drivers also had a great time, and I would do it again any day.
It was really, it was enjoyable. It's new, it's a lot to learn, so it's always interesting to learn more. I guess you have to keep the car on the track. You have to be very careful. You have to be aware of all the competitors around you. It's a mixture of a lot of things.
With the number of incidents increasing, even the professional drivers used to racing in the conditions in Europe at, say, Spa or the Nürburgring are finding it very difficult to keep control of the car. So for safety reasons, the race director calls a code 60. That also gives them an opportunity to decide what to do about the current situation and assess the track surface. The safety car has come out, picked up the leading car, and the race is stopped.
Well, we have a very special situation that one would not expect to happen in Dubai. We have a code red because of heavy rain, which has formed puddles on several turns on the circuit. The officials have done a good job to first have a code 60 period, and also for having suspension to the race. It's the safest way for everyone involved right now.
The last 3 laps were very dangerous, and also the code 60 was still dangerous doing the code 60. It was really not that easy.
Puddles were getting bigger, so that's the problem, because there is the draining is not working. So all the water what is coming down now will stay in the track. So even it's not raining, the puddles were getting bigger.
I mean, really uncommon. I think this is like 10 years Dubai 24 hours. You didn't see this rain. I think it happened once in 2008 or 9. But the problem is if it rains a little bit more than an hour or 2 hours, then you don't have drainage, and the standing water creates problem for the racing. But otherwise, I think it's not too much rain, so it's okay.
On the main straight, even big water stands everywhere. So good decision. Yeah, smartest one.
Turn 2 is especially a big problem because there we have a big puddle, or basically a lake. And then on the back straight, on the right side, also a big lake. And when you go in there, you just have aquaplaning, and that's totally unsafe. Therefore, the red flag is the only possible decision.
2 team members are allowed to cover their entries to protect against the downpour. There's no action out on the track. There's a competition developing pit lane.
No competition? Nobody wants to race me? Come on! Yeah, this might be handling a little worse than the race car. The race car was actually pretty good. Weather was treacherous, though. It's a really smart part on them to red flag it. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, and I don't think Dubai sees this kind of rain ever. Somebody would have to tell me, but some of the locals came up and said, hey, thanks for being here, but we're really sorry that it rains this hard. And I'm like, does it ever rain like this? And they're like, no. So I guess we brought it along. So we're going to do a little boat racing. If we can't do some car racing, we'll do some boat racing.
Shane is right, of course. This weather is very uncommon in Dubai. Normally between 1 and 2 centimetres of rain during the whole month of January. At the peak of the rain, 15 centimetres of rain each hour falling on the circuit. Throughout the night, tanker trucks come in to try and clear the standing water. But when morning comes, the race director has only one option.
Throughout the night we have monitored the weather conditions, and more rain has come down. The entire pit lane is flooded, and unfortunately at 7 a.m. this morning we needed to make the decision together with Dubai Autodrome to not commence with racing this year and the 24 hours of Dubai earlier.
The severity of the storm means that it wasn't just the track that suffered, and Dubai itself has come to a near standstill with even the international airport closed.
We have decided to have a podium for the 24 hours of Dubai. The final result will be 1 lap prior to the red flag situation last evening, and this will also be the basis of the podium ceremony that is going to take place. points will still be allocated in the championship for this race, for a 24-hour race. And what we have done, because some of the drivers have not fulfilled their minimum driving criteria just yet, we have decided to make every driver that is entered in this race eligible for points.
So with 7 hours, 16 minutes and 24 seconds of racing before the red flag, here's the results. Top step of the GT podium, Black Falcon, number 4 Mercedes, ahead of the number 88 Audi from Car Collection, and the third step, another Audi, the number 7 of MS7 by WRT. In TCE, it was a clear win for the AC Motorsport Audi number 188. They had a 2-lap advantage to the Lestrup Racing 111 Volkswagen. Another Volkswagen, the 112 from Autorama, a minute and 22 seconds further back in third. And here's your class winners. Black Falcon number 4 in the GT3 Pro class. In the GT3 AM, MP Motorsport number 19 has the big trophy. Dragon Racing with their number 788 Lamborghini wins GTX. The drivers on the top step for the 991 class podium belong to the Porsche number 989 entered by MRS. In GT4, Atlas BX with their Mercedes, the number 403 team, claimed that class win. In TCE, the AC Motorsport number 188 Audi team also collect the TCR class trophies. In TCX, it's Team ACP and the 321 squad. And Team Avia Zorg Rennsport take home the trophies for their BMW number 351 in the TC class. Creventic were one of the first series organisers in the world to implement the purple Code 60 flag, as opposed to needlessly long safety car procedures and red flags. The 24-hour endurance series are organised in such a way to maximise driving time. This year's weather prevented this. Sadly, the race ended with a red flag. We will, however, return to Dubai in January 2021. The next European 24-hour race will be in March at Monza. Be there as a spectator or a competitor. All the information you need at 24hseries.com.